Anna, Anastasia Mudryk, thanks for joining. Thanks for giving up your time. I know you've just been in a busy strategic session today, so we'll try and switch gears a little bit. I suppose today we're here to talk about working in product management, but within a agency environment. I've worked in a freelance and an agency consultancy environment, and you currently are head of product management and business analysis at Cieden. Cieden being a product design and marketing agency, if I've got that right. I did see, and we talked about this, you started off in finance, so I think you worked as a research analyst for about 4 years and then made the switch to software back in 2018, if I've got that right.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I guess as the head of product management and business analysis, you run the customer discovery, user research side of things, create roadmaps with clients and customers, yeah, and you manage the team and the process within the projects that you work on. You also co-host a podcast yourself for Cieden, I think, and I also saw on your LinkedIn that you're an actor, singer, and a music improv band as well, which is
Yeah, it's already disbanded, but yeah, I had a few years of that experience.
yeah,
It's
why
fun.
not? Why not? But yeah, anything to add to that? I guess how would you describe what you do?
Okay. I do stuff in general. So it's really hard to maybe put like, a distinctive title to what I do because I usually switch roles. And as you mentioned, like right now I'm a head of the team or the leader of the team, but on other like on commercial projects, I usually do not use title to my role because it can change depending on the context, on the needs of the client, and it can vary from spectrum on the spectrum from product manager to product owner, sometimes project manager, sometimes business analyst, and sometimes even user researcher. so so yeah, like it's a composition of different maybe skill sets or kind of responsibilities that I perform, and it's just like person who manages projects in general and just ensuring that it'll be successful.
Yeah, there'd be two avenues I'd like to go down initially. I mean, well, there's sort of three broad topics. One is all around sort of finding work, and I know I found you through Upwork, and that'd be something I'd love to explore. I'd also love to talk a bit more about how you and Cieden engage with your customers and clients on projects and sort of what that means for the work you do. You already said you do a variety of different roles. Um, but before that, I think just continuing on from your journey, it'd be good to know why you switched to software and also how you developed the skill set to, work within business analysis and product management. It could be books, courses, on the job learning, anything that you thought was particularly useful that you've recommended to other people going through that journey.
Yeah, it's a like interesting question about why. I think I was mostly influenced by my like friends around me because everyone was in IT, and I was kind of an outlier in finance. So maybe I was impacted by them the most, and that's why. But on another hand, I was in remote before even COVID started. So my previous work was as a remote employee, and I just was very exhausted. Sitting on my own, and I just wanted to have a team around me. So that was my kind of biggest driver of the desire to change the domain. And how I kind of learned about business analysis. So I firstly checked what are requirements for the position, and there were some things that I haven't had experience with and didn't know about that. And I started my journey with learning the backend and understanding the relational databases, because one of requirements was to understand the like be able to query the database with SQL. And this is like, what is that? That's what I started with. But later on, I've attended a local course on business analysis from the local IT school, and another one was a bit bigger, but from I think it's the biggest outsource company in Ukraine. They have their own courses for different disciplines, and I think that's a common practice that big outsource companies they do have their courses for I don't know QAs for front-end developers, and business analysis was one of their first actually course or program on BA, and I attended that, and it was really good. It was very practical, and they had a lot of practical exercises. They provided a lot of theoretical but an academic, I think, background, but also a lot of practice, and they maybe shared even their own cases of their actual projects, and we were helping them. So yeah, it was very good. And after that, of course, reading a lot of books. I kind of used to be a bookworm. Now kind of it's changed because of my load, but originally I read at least one book per month on kind of professional development. Mostly they were on kind of discovery, because this is my passion. I really like kind of this initial phase of the project. So discovery habits, continuous discovery habits, 7 product dimensions. I think it's called Discover to Deliver. Exploring the kind of it's not only product manager, but in general, how products are developed, how to align teams, how to know what to be built. So exploring also from academic and books. I also took some courses of project management. So I really liked the Google PM course. It took me a long to accomplish that, but they also provide a lot of practical experience. And to cover some parts of UX, or understanding how to create the solutions from front end and customer experience, they also have UX course, but you do not need to cover it all, just specific modules that are of interest. So these what I've taken, and I would recommend them.
Yeah, I can relate as well. I started off in business analysis and project management. So I did
Mm-hmm.
some of that was on the job training, and I also did some actual training courses at Accenture when I
Mm-hmm.
was working there. And I think that gave me a really good grounding for some of the core skills that you need within product management, even things like stakeholder management, working with people, basically, those sorts of skills, soft skills cut across almost any job role. But even then, some of the more, I suppose, the slightly harder skills like UX design, UI design, I've taken like a 4-day course on that. Even though I don't really use Figma, like in terms of actually creating designs myself, I still have an understanding of how to use it and some best practices and things. And I think that's helped me work with other people in the team, to work with designers and even like front end developers and things like that when I've done other things, to understand what's possible and whatnot. So yeah, can relate to a lot of those things. I've not done the Google project management course though, but I was thinking about doing it. So yeah, if you recommend it, I might start chipping away. Um, I imagine the discovery part of things, which you said is your passion. I can imagine that dovetails quite nicely with a lot of the work you do. So could you describe a typical project for you and for Cieden, how you work with your clients and customers, and how you and your team work specifically with people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that first of all, we'll distinguish different client personas. And where discovery is mostly applicable is working with startups. So if there is a founder and he has an idea and he would like to have a partner who would who is capable of creating the vision for this project or this product, and having a person who can provide some expertise and consulting how to do it better, how to make this project and product successful. So this is where we will step in, and this is where discovery phase will be a critical path, because I also distinguish 2 discoveries. First one, just like scope definition, is like when the project starts, we usually start with understanding what is required, what are requirements, and what is planned, and so on. This is one thing. And product discovery is a totally different thing. It's where we conduct user research. We understand the market. We understand the competitor scale. Or what actually is on the market, and what is their value proposition, what features they have. So understanding that and working closely with stakeholders. If there is a team, not only one founder, but there could be a team. Maybe they have also subject matter experts if this is a specific domain. So working closely in order to create a vision of the product, then working closely to prioritize it, because implementation can be lengthy, and we need to first start with MVP. What will be the minimum? You can call it viable, but it could be marketable product that we can launch, and also understanding the strategy. Will it be lean when we just roll over to a set of early customers, also considering what would be our monetization strategy, and having this context, understanding what would be the next step. Like we'll have this MVP, how we will develop the product later on. So connecting the pieces and working with stakeholders closely, working with potential clients, or like conducting research. So this is where we kind of like as like person who would be on my place, is it like product manager or manager in general, will be involved the most. And the major outcome of that, again, it depends on the kind of goals and life cycle of the product, because it could be like early inception and they're maybe just looking for investments, and the outcome or main deliverable would be just to create a vision clickable prototype that we can either test or show to customers. So this is one kind of milestone. Or they already have a team of developers and they want to already build this product. So there are many factors that impact on the scale of this discovery, or the duration, or the final expectation of the kind of outcome. But there is a set of different activities that we include depending on the kind of desired outcome. But usually it consists of user research, competitor research, and working with customers, not customers, but customers as well, but stakeholders, in order to shape the vision and prioritize, create some roadmap. So it's
Yeah,
a kind of in a nutshell.
makes sense. And what are some of the biggest challenges then working as an external person with a startup, or whatever the organization might be?
Mhm. Yeah, I think understanding the domain could be a first blocker, because each project and each founder has an idea in different domains. So we're working with from healthcare at tech. Sometimes there is very niche kind of domain, and the challenge is to dive into the domain really fast, understand it, and be able to provide educated suggestions and recommendations. So again, some desk research helps, or working closely with stakeholders and engaging subject matter experts. Another challenge is to having a like building trust and a rapport with the stakeholders. If there is a bigger team on the client side, you can have only one or two kind of customer facing person or like on the client side there could be only two people, but their team could be bigger, and you would not always understand who is there. Like, do they already have a team of developers? You do not have impact on their performance, or sometimes on the schedule. So kind of creating this connection is also sometimes challenging, because they can just provide requirements and you do not understand what was the reason for that. And you have just to work with that. Working with that to provide recommendations and for them to follow these recommendations is also a challenge, because you can say, okay, I think that the right step would be to do this. Like, okay, thanks for letting us know. And they never enforce these or kind of implement these recommendations. And also visibility of your work later on. Like, if you are involved in this kind of project duration, you do not have understanding how it actually turned out. You do not like, you commit to have some outcome, but have it been reached, you not always have this information. Like, the example would be that we have created the designs or concept for the product, we hand it over to the clients, they have implemented it, but we don't know, was it successful or not, what the kind of the metrics of the engagement and so on. So this is also a challenge. And another one, like, I think the last one, because there could be more, but the thing that I wanted to also highlight is each company is a different organism, and they all have their own processes, procedures, practices if it's a kind of established business. And adapting to each of that is also a challenge. We have our internal kind of approaches and processes, and they have their own, and kind of you need to align and kind of have this common ground and adapt sometimes, like adjusting your approaches and procedures to match the client's side.
Yeah. And is most of the work you do remote then? Or is it all remote? So
100 like percent remote.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I can imagine, like you said about visibility and see, yeah, you might speak to a couple of people maybe from the client who are, facing working with you, but then there might be 10, maybe more people sitting behind them in the office or at home where, whatever their setup is that you never see, which, yeah, is always going to make it challenging. Is there anything you've done that makes it easier, or anything when you go into a project, like you said about some recommendations, how do you try and address that from day one? Is there
Mhm.
anything that you sort of try and put in place?
So usually we have our initial kickoff. This is the first meeting where we try to introduce ourselves and also understand who is our kind of client, and later on to be able to perform some stakeholder management and uncover who we can reach out in case of different questions. So that's the first thing. Also, like there is no such thing as over communicating. Uh, just to be not to be always vocal about every your step, but have a clear like cadence of meetings. Establish the expectations. Like expectation management is big also challenge. Is to align what client is expecting, what you are thinking would be your outcome, and what would be the deliverables, and so on. So like having alignment on that is also very good, and also the earlier the better, and having some kind of communication, not schedule but like overall aligning on the when to communicate, what channels, with whom, establishing some frequent, maybe not so frequent but regular meetings with clear agenda, and like agenda should be clearly visible in the calendar, like at minimum. So everyone was understanding what is expected to be there, and also like preparing everyone before the meeting, like sending kind of agenda in advance if they have any questions, and having meeting notes after that. So it's kind of like proper project management, but it also helps a lot in order to kind of establish the common ground for the entire team. Um, so I think like best practices work well in general, to overcome these challenges, working remotely and kind of having different stakeholders with even whom we are not engaging directly.
The kickoff meeting as well. I know they can be. There's been one or two projects in the past where I've not done that as early as I would have liked to,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, just having the chance to introduce, both sides, understand the different stakeholders. So working with a client to actually say, okay, if we need any of these questions answering, who should we speak to? Who's responsible for these areas? You just get a sense of who is who,
Yeah.
and like you said, in terms of expectations and even like timelines and all that, and deliverables and all of that stuff, I think it is so important, isn't it, to get that done up front.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, not overlooking it. Um,
And one more comment, like I usually have a template for all of these kind of ceremonies. I have created templates for different meetings, and if we like kick off a new project, I just pull this template. Like sometimes I need to add 3 bullets or remove a bullet, but I already have a kind of checklist what I need to mention or to talk through on this meeting. So having templates for starting the project, ending the project, like maybe requesting the feedback. So there are some things that are not important at the beginning, but later on, it'll pay off. Like if you discuss, like, can I then use this project in our kind of portfolio, or can you provide feedback or leave some review? It's maybe later down the project timeline, but at some point you need to bring this up. But if you forget about this, you will kind of suffer the consequences.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so switching gears a little bit now,
Mhm.
so I will come back to some of those points. Actually, I think I'll dovetail it with another question. But one of the main questions I get when I'm speaking to other product managers or people that want to work in a more freelance capacity, whatever it is finding work basically. So finding project work. I think any business owner, not even just within product management or software, just any business owner will say the same. So I found you via Upwork. I've used Upwork as a client a lot. I've used it for a variety of different things. I really like Upwork. I also know it's very competitive. Especially in software, if I put a job posting up in software, I could get 100 responses in a few hours. It can be crazy competitive. But I'm curious how you and Cieden use Upwork to find clients, find project work, and so how important it is for you as an agency versus other channels. Like I know you also do some content marketing. You have a website which I assume is SEO optimized. You probably have a network of people that you know. So yeah, how do you guys use Upwork? And yeah, do you have any advice for people in using it to find clients, I suppose?
Yeah. Like working in the agency, I think it's easier in terms of finding job because we have an entire department working, and even two, marketing and sales, and they're all have a clear goal to generate leads and generate projects. If to concentrate on Upwork, like we have several specialized kind of accounts, and each of them is specialized on a specific topic. So we can have product management and business analysis. We have design. We also want specialized on AI projects, maybe, and also specific domain for healthcare. So like for different profiles. And by specializing, what I mean, like have dedicated cases, clear description of your roles, preferably also a lot of reviews on like speaking about your experience on the project and value that you brought to the company or to the project or product that you've been working on. So also like cases, and one of things that also like we had planned to update is to have some video content on your profile, because it just makes a profile stand out somehow more, especially talking about your approach, your process, and your outcomes that you helped to achieve through your involvement in projects. So it will help a lot. Regarding the finding and screening the job posts and responding to them, I know that there are different automations, and Upwork is kind of filled with that. And as you mentioned, like whenever you post the job post, there are already some responses. So having ability to appear on that list of as a like first applicants is like pretty important, because if you're down the list, you will not be visible. I would not maybe recommend, because I'm not an expert in that part. I'm not aware about how it's like these tools are called. I can reach out and maybe after this meeting provide some link or recommendation. But I just know that there are tools that help to automate that. Also, I've heard that some AI responses also could be written, but again, they're not good, and I wouldn't recommend that. However, having some template of response just to be able to quickly respond to the job post is pretty good idea. Like you can have kind of preset of different responses depending on the different job posts, and just customizing a part of that and have the kind of a template of cases that you would recommend depending on the domain. For instance, if you are seeing a vacancy for HR, not HR, but healthcare, you can have a preset or some template of those responses and cases that are applicable to the domain. So having some templates is also a way how you can kind of speed this up and be able to respond to different vacancies faster. But I would recommend to pay attention to responsibilities and kind of description of the job post, because from what I've seen, there are like each company writes those requirements differently, and sometimes they can title the job post as searching for a product manager, but inside it's a kind of scrum master or just project manager who just manages the development team. And you need to double check if the description is actually something that you would like to be involved in, and if there is a match of skills of what you would want to work with. So yeah, I think, and one of other things that can help to stand out is again to have some video content. And if you send this first proposal, we will still try this, but this is something that I envision. We wanted to create a video which will kind of direct to YouTube or some another media platform to explain or kind of introduce yourself, and also provide some bigger kind of excursion or a walkthrough of your typical approach or past experience or how you helped other companies. So like in this first post, you can also provide kind of media introduction as a video, would also could be helpful to stand out, like to be memorable. Oh, the
Yeah,
word that
and
I'm looking
as a client, I've had a fair bit of experience posting jobs. I've been told I'm quite good at, in terms of the descriptions I provide in the job postings, is quite useful compared to a lot of job postings, is what people have told me. So it sounds like some jobs don't actually have a lot of detail in them, but even still, the things that, and the reason I've made certain decisions in terms of hiring as a client, I think it definitely helps if you've got previous work on Upwork and you've got 100% rating or close to, ideally 100%, which is tough because obviously you can't control reviews, but that's the way it works. I have hired people that have no previous experience on Upwork, and the reason I've done that is because they've been very personalized in their response. So one really simple thing that a lot of people still don't do is just including my name or the job poster's name in the response. Like, hi Liam, saw your job, think it'd be a great match. These are the reasons why. Here's some case studies. Like, it's such a simple format, but I can rule out probably 70% of applicants based on that alone. Just providing no customization, like they haven't even looked at my job post. Then I think after that, I can quite easily spot the ones that have been AI generated that aren't very good. And some of that stuff is video content. So you get like a Loom recording where it's somebody sort of sounds like they're responding to your job post, but when you actually listen to it, it's super general and generic, and you realize they just send it to everyone, but it sounds like it could be personalized to me. So I sort of get rid of those ones as well. So I'm sort of left with the ones perhaps like Cieden, who have got a load of really good experience, got a load of good reviews. I'm like, right, okay, yes, they provided quite a tailored response, but it's not super personalized, but they seem like they're worth speaking to. And then I'll also speak to the people that are maybe starting out, who maybe don't have many reviews or much work experience on Upwork, but have spent a lot of time demonstrating that they're a good fit for the job. So I think, yeah, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, I think. And yeah, there's automation is
for.
not always a good thing if it's not used well. I think there's got to be a little bit of manual intervention if you want to stand out. But I think with your profile, like you said, in terms of having a profile tailored to each different sort of category, when I searched for product managers on Upwork, your profile was one of the first to come up. It had a really nice, yeah, overview of your experience. Also, talked a little about UX and UI design. You can sort of have two sort of slightly different profiles within one category on Upwork. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, I've had a few questions from people wanting to get started on Upwork and being frustrated that they're constantly at the bottom of the list for job applications and not really getting any responses. But I suppose, what other channels work well for Cieden? For example, I know we've talked about the podcast already. We've talked about your website. is there anything else that works particularly well that you know of? I know you don't work in that team, but is there anything else that you think complements Upwork well?
Oh, I am involved in kind of
Oh,
pre-sale, and I also was involved in different, like we involved delivery team into our sales and marketing as well, because we want to be genuine and not to just generate like non-qualified leads, but so we kind of involved in this process. And I maybe do not have the current stats on what channel performs best, but we initially, like Upwork was our primary channel a long time ago, but it gradually kind of has less and less share in our current kind of sales channel. Referrals work pretty well, like past clients can come back, or they can refer us to other companies and projects. And another thing that we try to explore is partnerships. So, especially for discovery as a service, we saw the opportunity that this could be an additional service that development companies, for instance, could miss, because when they have a project that comes with on this early stage, they sometimes do not have the proper skill set and expertise to kind of work with these leads, because they just, as an outsourced company, they're used to be working with clear requirements. So we had a campaign launched on reaching out to these companies or potential like partners. However, it's kind of playing in the long run. So establishing relationships, building that kind of for them to remember that we can be their partners when they have this type of the request, it's pretty hard. So it requires a lot of effort to establish the report and to maintain these relationships. But we do have our partners which reach out to us. So we did establish some connections, but they're mostly maybe started when we engaged them for development, and then they, like when they have a need, they reach out to us for BA or product expertise. So we have just a few maybe success projects that were initiated by partners. But I think that's also kind of a possibility, because as an agency, we do have the network of designers or subcontractors. Whenever we are at our capacity, we can refer somebody. So we do have this practice, but a question how other companies leverage that. And another is direct kind of, we use LinkedIn campaigns or outreach campaigns. And some of them also were successful, but it requires a lot of effort. So there is a dedicated team, there are lead generators who are responsible for, and the reason why is we do not use a lot of kind of AI or automations. We, again, want to be genuine and reach out to people who actually have a need and could potentially work with us. That's why like screening of potential customers and writing these messages are kind of time consuming, but it's one of possible channels that could also bring some leads. But again, LinkedIn is right now again overflowed with those messages. Everyone is bombarded with potential collaborations. So that's why one of another strategies is to just generate content to be visible, and because like if any project is somewhere on the radar, they will still scan and check out who they potentially will work with. That's why it's good to have your LinkedIn kind of updated and active, not dormant and kind of not updated 3 years ago. So yeah, and as you mentioned, kind of marketing and SEO for the website was also helpful. And we
Yeah.
also have our team that, sorry, the last one is social media. So like visibility in the reels on Instagram and TikTok. Since we have some audience there, we have a podcast through YouTube, and also like a way to, again, be visible.
It does. I definitely think the content stuff can help, but it does seem like, especially now in the age of AI and a lot more remote working, like people's inboxes are flooded with messages, and like you said, most of them are basically spam. like very little thought has gone into, like I was saying about Upwork, very little thought has gone into that message where actually just and you can stand out, like you said, just by spending a little bit of time and being a little bit more targeted. Ultimately, though, it does seem like relationships are so much more powerful. Like you said, even like subcontracting, that's how I've found work in the past as well, like with agencies and things where they've needed overflow, and I've helped with that. But sort of moving on, related to finding work and providing skills for clients, what what skills do you think, if you think about the product domain, product and design, but also perhaps broader than that, what sort of skills do you think are in demand right now, and what do you think we're seeing will be in demand in the coming years, based on maybe discussions with clients on project work and just your general network?
Hmm. Yeah, I think like we need to first of all understand the demand, like who is on the platform, who is looking for product managers. And what I've seen is mostly startups, like people who have an idea and they don't have a team yet, and they are willing to dedicate or delegate the management and kind of they want also to have an expert on their team, and not to kind of fully committing to hiring a person, but working closely. And that's why they are looking for somebody on remote or outsourcing this expertise. So these are mostly startups, and they could have a team, or they could be just like one founder. And it means that working with this type of clients will require one skill set, in comparison when there is an established company that would like to have a transition. So they already have some processes, and due to like technology push, they would like to update it, or automate some processes, kind of make it more compatible or outstand more. So that's another type of customers or clients that I would outline, is established, kind of mature companies that have their own business and processes, and they would like to kind of reestablish them once again, or launch new products, or if they had it in this one system, then they would like to change it or have some their internal tool created. So that's another one. And sometimes also there could be some enterprise companies that also would like to drive some changes, and they do not have capacity, or this is the kind of time boxed short term project, even if it's like for 6 months. For them, it's short time, and they do not want to hire additional people to their team, and they are willing to outsource and kind of connect with an experts through some platforms. So. To sum up, there are three types of clients, and each of them would require a slightly different flavor of project manager or product manager, depending on their needs and their kind of expectations. So with startups, it's more about vision and creating strategy of new product. With mature companies, it's more about business analysis and understanding their processes and how to kind of operationally improve them. And with enterprises, I would say it's more like the influence of stakeholder management and people management is really, really important. Because usually enterprises kind of, there could be just one person, but there are many people, many departments on the other side. So again, depending on type of the client, there will be different skill sets required. And I usually have a distinction between two genders of product manager. It's kind of strategic person, like focusing on strategy, and another on execution. So for creating strategy, it's your skill set would require ability to conduct interviews, to conduct user research, to scan a lot of information, to kind of collect it, process it, and to provide some recommendations. Work closely with clients in order to prioritize it. So it'll require maybe more facilitation and kind of working directly with the client, and kind of maybe facilitating workshops, or like using different tools like value proposition canvas, maybe business model canvas. So these are specific deliverables you'll be able to generate. Whilst if it's an execution, you need to be able to establish like metrics, what is the expected outcome, and how to reach these outcomes through specific actions, and maybe to establish the process, like to define tasks, create breakdown of, I don't know, features, whatever. It depends on the scope. Is it new product or a new module or new process? So be able to descope it, set clear expectations, and know how to measure that. And these are two different mindsets and different skills required there. But as you mentioned before, soft skills is really important because in the era of AI, we can delegate some hard skills to the AI. As we can have our assistant, and whenever you need to create a job description or job story or user story or some use case, you like have a broad context, and it can really break it down and speed up your work and have like pretty good deliverable like with your minimal interventions. But in order to understand and work with people, this is not something that you can delegate to AI. Ability to work closely with people, present is also very good, like aligning people and presenting your recommendations or convince people sometimes to have buy-in on your suggestions and recommendations. It's also something that is undervalued. Yeah, and like soft skills will, I think, rule the world in new era because most of like writing requirements or creating roadmaps will be delegated to different tools.
Seem that way, doesn't it? And yeah, as sort of product management processes become more well known, sort of more, I wouldn't say set in stone, but there's a bit like project management. There seem to be more and more product management practices that are shared across lots of different companies now. Like, for example, I don't know, how to write user stories has become quite, there's a set way of doing it, broadly used in most companies. Same with, developing roadmaps. There are, a few different sort of ways of doing it, but yeah, how to actually get buy-in for that stuff. That's the hard stuff now, I think, isn't it? And I think will be as we go forwards. And just the last couple of questions then to wrap up. I suppose what's next for you, and how do you see maybe the next, it could be 12 months, next few years unfolding in terms of your career? What sort of skills are you hoping to develop, or sort of avenues are you hoping to go in? If now we're in the age of AI and things like that, is there anything that you really want to explore further?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting topic. Like, I personally always say that I know nothing. Oh my God, there's so much to learn. There is always a backlog of books to read, courses to attend, and like kind of even topics that I feel that I would like to dive deeper. Right now, I've been more focused on kind of discovery, but I feel that working on execution is something that I could improve. So working with metrics, analytics, unit economics. So that part is something that I would like to learn. And right now I'm on a project where I'm kind of more full-time PM, and we're at our alpha/beta stage. Next will be MVP, and then we'll have our kind of products and measuring metrics and improving them. So in the year cycle, I would expect to kind of gradually approach this period when we'll measure specific metrics, product metrics, and to be able to track business outcomes, connect with product metrics, and how to, through different interventions and like launching new feature or improving some flows, we can move our business outcome. And in terms of AI, yeah, there are things that we already are using in our processes. For instance, creating a way to communicate requirements through the clickable prototype generated through Claude AI. It can create like one pager kind of as a deliverable to play even use it as a playground to work with requirements. And it could be also a way to communicate and align with the team, because initially we created wireframes in Figma or in another tool to use it as a communication tool. to align on the vision. But now we can use it as a clickable prototype, and making adjustments is really fast. And what I would envision is using more no code, low code platforms, and kind of leveraging that. And of course, creating tools through AI tools, like creating new apps through AI tools is also, I think, it somewhere in few next years. I think that product managers will be able to create applications or platforms by them their own without code. So it's kind of maybe long-term vision, but I've seen tools that already have these possibilities, that you just like communicate with a chat, and it can create an application. Simple right now, but maybe later on. And it's currently mostly front end without, and having back end logic built is requires more knowledge, and maybe you need to have some background on backend languages. But yeah, that's the future, that people who understand the requirements will be able to maybe even create applications.
Yeah, I've used a few different no-code tools like Bubble to create web
Mm-hmm.
applications, and yes, you can do. I guess you could consider it the back end. You can um, program like a visual programming, like different workflows and things like that, and sort of basic database structures and things like that, and connect with APIs and all of that, all with no code. And yeah, it might not get you to. There are limitations, but in terms of you talking about alpha, beta, MVPs and things, I built very basic applications, and I know people that are running SaaS companies doing $20,000-$30,000 a month that are purely built on Bubble and they've
Mm-hmm.
never touched the line. I mean, they might have done a bit of JavaScript or something, but very little coding. And I think, like you said, the next evolution of that is naturally using large language models to convert text or speech into code or something along those lines. So yeah, I can see product managers and the whole software delivery team becoming a lot more like truly cross-functional. So developers being more involved in testing and product managers being more involved in design and development and so on. So yeah, exciting times. Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot there. I've got a few notes that I might follow up on, like the tools for the automation for Upwork and a few other bits. But I've learnt a lot, I think, and yeah, I suppose where can people find you? So I'll include a link to Cieden's website and perhaps your LinkedIn profile. I don't know if there's anywhere better to direct people if they want to connect.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is the best channel. I'm not sure if there are any other active social media that I'm using. Could be Instagram, but it's kind of more personal. But I'm also open to that.
Yeah, sounds good. No, but anything final to add?
I'm not sure. I'm just like would like to motivate people to have this kind of engine of eternal education and growth, because our environment is very dynamic right now. And I think like be able to be open to and flexible to changes, and adjust to new technologies, and be able like at least to keep track of that to the best extent we can, because everything is very very dynamic. But to be able to kind of keep track of these changes, and try to use new tools, because new patterns are evolving and popping up every day. So just keeping track with that.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I really appreciate it, Anna, and I'm sure we'll speak again in the near future. But thanks again, and yeah, on behalf of everyone who's asked me a load of questions about working as a PM in an agency or freelance capacity, I think there'll be a lot of people who are very happy to listen to everything you've said today as well. So
Yeah, thank you for having me.
yeah,
It
thank
was a
you.
pleasure talking to you today.
Yeah.
Thank you.